Now then, as the season progresses and we're in early winter, I suppose, middle of November, the crops in the glass house are reducing, so that means I've got access to various areas inside, and it's time to start repairing some more of this Dutch light glass house. Now, I've spent the last week going through this, but there's one or two things that I think need pointing out for those people who've still got these old form of glass houses, or you've come across one and want to repair it. The interesting thing is that each sheet of glass has its own timber frame, so each piece can be unscrewed and removed, and they interlock. So last year I did quite a bit on the other side of this glass house, and I made some extra frames up. Just picking out the best bits and making new parts and that sort of thing. They've got a funny double rebate on them, and because one fits over the other and then this one fits over that one, then the rebates are different on either of the styles. And then of course you've got a top rail and the bottom rail, and the glass goes over the bottom rail. So we'll have a quick look. And the other thing is that normally these didn't have gutters, but I'm putting gutters on these, and I'll explain why. So I've come round the other side of the glass house, and as you can see there, hopefully we'll better focus on this, the one on the left sits over the one on the right, so they interlock. And then if we go to the other side of this, over there, it's the same. So therefore the left hand rail has got a rebate on the top, and the right hand rail has got a rebate on the bottom, and then the bottom rail is half the thickness, so the glass comes over it and then it weathers, and then there's a clip there that holds the glass in, and there's the next one. So to be able to get gutters on this sort of exercised my thoughts for quite a while, until I came across these things. These are for roofing, and they're what's called a felt support tray, and as you can see, they go on the eaves of a roof, and the felt comes down, the roofing felt or the tiler's felt comes down, goes over this tray, but these trays are tacked onto the bottom of the rafters, and then it's got this kink and this angle, and that goes into the gutter. So these are perfect for extending the reach there into the gutter. So what basically happens is they slide up underneath the frames and get tacked to the underside, and then of course the water comes down, drips onto there and into the gutter like that. So it prevents these frames here having loads of water running on them, and especially the bottom rails, which get soaked all the time, so that reduces the amount of water that's going there. Anyway, so this seems to work quite well, but there are one or two things that need doing. If you see there, that's one of the ventilators, and it's screwed, the hinges are screwed directly to the top rail. Well, that means there's a problem with the gutter. So what we do, coming round here, where are we? There we are. Basically, I take the ventilator off, add another piece of timber, and then shorten the ventilator. That way it gives more room. It's a bit fiddly, but if you're repairing it, you're repairing it, and this gutter will make a huge difference to the longevity of the wall frames. And as you can see, this is a steel frame, 21 feet span. It's about 30 foot long, but it's modular. And there's the inner part of those trays, yet to be screwed up in place. And the winter lettuce are growing on. And there's the inside. Camera's not upright. There's that extra piece of timber that I put in to lower the ventilator. And just interesting, round here, there's the next lot of lettuce coming on. There we go. R.W. Stanley. So there we go. That's just a few ideas. Let's just go and have a look at some of the frames that I've made up. So that's a bit of the frame that I've taken out. One where it started to rot out. And here's some of those frames that I made up last year. Gave them plenty of treatment, and you see the rebate there, and then on the bottom it's the other way around. So on these ones I've treated the joints 3 or 4 times, and then there's a couple of screws, and I've used drywall screws because they've got plenty of grip. Cut the screws from that way, from the underside up through, and then just ground the points off. That seems to work the best. And the later models of these types, they didn't bother with this joint. Basically it was a butt joint with 2 galvanized 4-inch nails poked through there, and in some ways that's probably better because there's less surface area for the water to soak in. So I'm not sure, but when I make new ones, just totally new ones, I will probably use that method without this joint. There's just probably have to make up a little jig to hold everything in place, and then drill through and either put 4-inch screws or 4-inch galvanized nails. The only thing you've got to do is here it's shown on the bottom, you've got to make sure that the screws don't go into the glazing groove, because the glass obviously slides up through there. So if you have one of the screws poking into the edge of that, it will stop the glass sliding, and the glass needs to be relatively loose in there. It will slide up easily, and of course when you take any of this apart, the first thing you do is you slide the glass out, because they're big sheets of glass, they break easily, and they're, all those sharp edges are quite dangerous. Anyway, I think I've got a bit of video of cutting some sweet chestnut to the right thickness to make more bits of these stiles and top rails. So I think we'll show that. So here's the top board, that last board that we milled. There's a bit of a knotty feature there. It doesn't go all the way through. If that's a problem, I will cut it out and use this first length, cut that down for bottom rails. As it's 2 5/8 thick, then we will get 2 bottom rails out of that, 1 1/8 by 2.5, and then we can move into the clear timber on the side. But it's beautiful looking stuff. And durable. Ideal for that job. So here's those bits of sweet chestnut that we milled. Nice and dry now, but it doesn't need to be too dry. Sort of 25% is good enough. Yeah, so at some point this winter I'm going to make a load more frames up, just so they're there, and use all the odd bits and pieces that I've got. And I shall mill these up, machine them up with the various rebates, and with the wind's getting up, and with the glazing groove in there. And I'll do that on the dimension saw. We're on handheld wobbly camera, but as you can see now, as the ventilators have been lowered all the way along to allow for the guttering, then it's all sort of come into place. And there we are. And that's with the felt support trays all in place, weathering the bottom corner. So all I've got to do now is just finesse these and then fix them to the bottom of the frames inside the greenhouse. And of course Spalding is in Lincolnshire. I don't know when this glass house was built, but I'm guessing the 50s, something like that, maybe the 40s. But it's seen a lot of history, and it's been on this site for 25 years. I bought it as quite a wreck and rebuilt a lot of it, and it's very nice, but you just have to keep doing a bit on it regularly. Anyway, hope you enjoy this. Cheers for now.